Good evening, Montana, and welcome to our NBC Montana Fall Football Preview. Lots of stories from the gridiron coming your way for the next half hour. We're going to get started with collegiate football here. 2015 was another successful season for the Montana Grizzlies as they went 8-5 overall, 6-2 in conference under head coach Bob Stitt, and did make the playoffs. The Grizz hope this season will end up with an FCS record 24th playoff appearance. The Grizzlies are full of fresh faces in 2016 as a total of 40 new players have been added to the program for this fall. Leading the way as team captains for Montana will be senior quarterback Brady Gustafson and senior defensive end Caleb Kidder.
I mean, the dudes definitely look up to me, so and I mean, I'll be there for them if they have any issues adjusting to Grizzly football life.
I just come out here and just try and lead by example. Just do things right in the right way and the way that our coaches want. I feel like if I can do that, if I can lead by example, the other guys will follow.
Getting the X's and O's right is always a key ingredient for success, but head coach Bob Stitt says the biggest focus in the offseason and fall camp has been getting this team to bond as a unit.
Just continue to build that team chemistry, because that's the key. We've got talent, we've always had talent, and just getting to know each other and these new kids and becoming a team. So we can't wait to get on the road with our best friends, and we're going to play very well on the road.
Montana opens their season in just 10 days' time. The Grizzlies kick off their year at home on September 3rd under the lights, hosting St. Francis out of the Northeast Conference. After 2.5 weeks of fall camp, the Grizz say this game cannot get here soon enough.
We're excited. I mean, it's getting closer and closer every day to that first game, and I can't wait to go against someone else other than our offense. Yeah, I can't wait to go against someone else in a different jersey.
And expectations were high at Montana State in 2015 after the Big Sky coaches picked the Bobcats to win the conference in the preseason. However, MSU struggled, finishing under 500 for the first time since 2001, which led to the firing of ninth-year head coach Rob Ashe. Now the Cats will look to rebound under a new head coach in Jeff Choate, who is already leaving his mark on the team.
When he was hired back in December, Jeff Choate quickly evaluated the Montana State program and saw that the culture within had to change. He set out with a vision based on a foundation of character, accountability, and toughness, and he has not wavered.
You just have to have great conviction and discipline as a leader, and you just have to go and do what you really believe is best for the organization. And so I haven't stepped down from anything that I believe.
And thanks to his conviction and discipline, Choate's players have bought into his vision for the Bobcats.
I think what he's done for this program in this amount of time, it's really been a night and day transformation. I love this team, and I love all these coaches, and I love Coach Choate, and that starts from the top down. And I know every other dude on this team feels that way too, so it's very exciting.
On the field, Choate will look to improve a defense that surrendered over 34 points per game last season. And to do that, he enlisted longtime Montana Grizzlies assistant coach Ty Gregorak to serve as his defensive coordinator.
A different energy. I've never really met someone like him. You know, he's awesome. We have fun, but man, when times get busy, he gets busy. I really like how we've been emphasizing turnovers. I think it's working for us.
On the offensive side of the ball, Choate was saddled with the loss of All-American quarterback Dakota Prukop, who transferred to Oregon after graduating from MSU in December. To fill the void, Choate brought in junior transfer Tyler Brugman, who is taking command of the offense under center.
We made great strides just in communication and execution across the board. We've had guys moving in and out and kind of different lineups, and I'm proud of where we've come to this point and need to make the next week and a half count.
That week and a half will be spent preparing for the first game of the season against the University of Idaho in Moscow on September 1st.
Let's take a look at the preseason coaches poll for the FCS as we get set to kick off that college season. No surprise at number 1 with the 5-time defending national champs from North Dakota State receiving all 25 of the first place votes. Portland State is your top Big Sky team at number 12, followed closely by Montana. Eastern Washington coming in at number 17.
To the Frontier Conference now, where the Montana Tech Ore Diggers are on a mission to keep the naysayers at bay. Last season, the Diggers started their year unranked in the national polls, but advanced all the way to the second round of the NAIA playoffs. With a lot of returning talent, the Diggers plan to continue last season's success.
The Montana Tech Ore Diggers are back on the field and hard at work after last year's historic rise to prominence amongst the NAIA elite.
The fall is great. We've had a great fall camp. Our guys are excited to get going. I mean, you can just taste it. And, they're starving. They want to get on the field. They want to get to game day.
It's a pretty nice feeling, especially with the coaches. You're starting to get that team chemistry a little stronger. So being out here with these guys, it's always a fun time.
After finishing last year with a record of 10-2, the Ore Diggers are coming off one of their best seasons in team history with a victory in the first round of the NAIA playoffs over Dickinson State. Now this year they're hoping to repeat that success, but first they have to go through one of their biggest rivals, Carroll College.
You know, guys are motivated and hungry, but not necessarily just for Carroll. I mean, that's obviously a huge rivalry between Tech and Carroll, but same standpoint, you know, every week in the Frontier is a rival game.
The Diggers were one of the best defensive teams in the country last season, raking down 40 sacks, placing them 4th in the nation. Head coach Chuck Morrell believes his defense will once again dominate the Frontier Conference.
But we still have a lot of veterans back. We got the majority of our defensive line back. You know, it's something where we still got to get a few things figured out, but making some great progress this far into camp.
And on offense, the Diggers possess one of the NAIA's most talented running backs in senior Nolan Saracini, who ran for just under 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns last season.
I'm always gonna feel a little nervous, but you know when that clock starts, it's game on. So all that's just gonna be thrown out the window. I'm just gonna have to play.
Montana Tech enters this season ranked 7th in the nation according to the preseason coaches poll, the exact same ranking that the Diggers ended with in the final poll of last season. The defending national champs Marion have the top spot as the top Frontier Conference team is Southern Oregon, who enters the year ranked number 2 in the country.
Sticking in the mining city as Butte High will look to bounce back from a 1-9 finish last season. There's a lot of buzz surrounding the young and hungry Bulldogs, especially when it comes to their new digs.
One of the most storied high school football stadiums in Montana has gotten a makeover. Artificial turf was installed at Naranche Stadium over the summer, just in time for Butte High's 2016 football season.
We got one of the nicest ones in the AA by far throughout the state, and people are jealous. I'm excited to play on it.
Everything pops now because it's crisp, it's clean, everything looks a lot better. It looks, you know, like a brand new paint job.
The new field builds some excitement after the Bulldogs finished last season on a 9-game losing streak. They won the 2015 opener against Billings Skyview, but also lost All-State players Dylan Cook and Paul Campbell to season-ending injuries in that game. That forced a lot of young and inexperienced players into action, but the team believes it is much better off after that struggle.
That was a good thing for us to deal with. We learned a lot about ourselves and our program and some things that we maybe needed to shift and change. Those young guys that were pressed into playing right off the bat, you know, when they shouldn't have been, you know, it was good for them.
It was really hard to kind of get through, but, you know, we're just a team that's going to come out and handle adversity and deal with what we're dealt with.
The fresh turf against the backdrop of the weathered brick at Naranche appears to symbolize this Butte Bulldogs team. New beginnings built upon a successful and historic foundation.
After what we went through last year and this year, it is a fresh start. It's an idea that breathes some new life into the program.
I feel like we had a lot of younger guys that had to step up and fill the shoes last year that we're still learning, and they're going to get it this year.
Butte opens the season on the road in Billings against Skyview. Then the Bulldogs will have to wait 2 weeks to make their regular season debut at the new-look Naranche Stadium against rival Bozeman High.
When we come back, we'll continue to catch up with some of our Western Montana high school programs, including a story with the Hellgate Knights, who are not fielding a varsity team this year. That's next after the break.
The Class AA football season kicks off this week, but instead of the normal 14 varsity teams competing, we will only have 13 AA programs in action. Missoula Hellgate is playing a sub-varsity schedule this fall as they try to rebuild for the future. A decision not taken lightly as it left some seniors with no other choice but to transfer in order to compete at the varsity level. NBC Montana's Taylor Winkle has more with one such senior, as well as how Hellgate's new head coach hopes to turn things around.
These are the Loyola Rams. They're just about a week away from their first game.
Been practicing all summer. We're all working super hard.
And Caden Sand wasn't always a Ram. He just transferred this year.
It was like hard, and I knew that it would take a while to get used to it, but I knew that it would be a good thing. It would pay off in the end.
After Hellgate's varsity team opted out for the 2016 season amid coaching and enrollment problems.
I wasn't just going to not play football my senior year.
You know, we only got 9 days till we play our first game, so we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants and trying to get in as much as possible at this point.
Mick Morris was hired on as the new head coach for the Hellgate Knights in July after a winless season last year ended with the former coach's dismissal.
While things may have, you know, been bad in the past. I think we're definitely trending in the right direction.
7 new coaches and a junior varsity team of mostly freshmen and sophomore. He says he's excited to start with a blank slate. And that 33-game losing streak is something Coach Morris hopes these Knights can change.
Well, that's the goal. I mean, you know, every time you take the field, you're out there to you know, compete and hopefully win.
And while Sant is at Loyola now, looking forward to a chance at state titles.
I know there's a perception of Hellgate football that isn't very good right now, whether it's among the community, the state, or even within our school.
Morris is here, looking forward to a chance at changing the state of Hellgate football.
Now, without the Knights, that means for at least this fall, there will only be 2 AA varsity teams in the Garden City. Big Sky and Sentinel were already rivals, but with Hellgate out of the picture, that only heats up their meeting on September 9th, which will be for the city title.
Competition, you know, between us and Big Sky, it's definitely on the uprise, you know, since Hellgate doesn't have the team this next year. So I think there'll be good competition, you know. Hopefully we'll bring out the best of us and we can play to the best of our ability.
Big Sky Sentinel, that's our biggest game of the year to us. That's everyone's jacked for that game. We don't like those guys don't like us. On the field, there's some words.
Whoever wins gets the crosstown championship, so definitely going harder for that game for sure, especially since it's Big Sky.
Our Big Sky Sentinel rivalry is one of the big things that drives us. I think we just want the people to see that. You know, we want them to see that we've been putting in the work. We want Sentinel to see that we've been working hard and we're gonna hit them hard.
It's fun when you got to play both teams because you know you got to test and you got to fight your way to be the city champ. And now it's all or nothing. One game, we got to take it to them. We got to focus on Big Sky and we got to reign over the city.
Now, as far as rivalry goes, the battle for the best program in Kalispell is still young, with these teams facing off only 9 times and going into their 10th for their history. They are primed and excited.
The Flathead and Glacier football teams are excited for the new season after both squads made the playoffs last year. Despite what should be a fun race for bragging rights in Kalispell, the programs say they're only focused on game number 1.
You know, I think it's always the one right in front of you. I know that's coach speak, but you know we've been talking about CMR all offseason because that's our first game, and we always talk about, hey, you can't win them all if you don't win the first one. So our goal is just to be 1-0 after this first week.
On offense, the Braves are led by a close-knit duo of quarterback Bridger Johnson and receiver Seth Adolph.
I think overall team chemistry and then competitiveness, always bringing it to compete. I guess Big Red over there, he's my best friend.
To his house, his mom's cooking, she's got good food. We're always together, him and I and the team.
As for Glacier, the Wolfpack will feature a new face under center as Gilman transitions over from defense.
It's an honor to be the quarterback for the football team. I mean, you got to really be a leader out there, and you go from being an outside linebacker where, yeah, you got a little bit of leadership, but then you go to the quarterback. I mean, you got to completely control the entire offense. You got to know what everybody's doing.
Even though it's early, head coach Grady Bennett says this team reminds him of the 2014 Wolfpack team that won the state title.
They understand just how special it is, how special it is to get there, and they want to do that as a senior class. So that's what you see, I think, with their leadership, their energy. It's very similar, I think, to the 2 years ago with the kind of things we're seeing leadership-wise from our seniors.
And these two local teams will play October 21st here in Legends Stadium in what should be a pivotal late-season showdown. Reporting from Kalispell, Christopher Salas, NBC Montana.
Coming up next on our NBC Montana Fall Football Preview, we caught up with one of the best high school players in the state in Dillon's Troy Anderson. Hear from the future Montana State Bobcat after the break.
Montana Class AA high school football has been recently ruled by Bozeman High. The Hawks have won 3 state championships in the past 6 seasons, including a title last year. But the head coach who brought them to the top, Troy Purcell, left to take an assistant coaching job at the University of Idaho. Bozeman High decided to hire one of Purcell's assistants, Levi Wesche, to take over the program. Wesche spent the past 9 seasons as the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator for the Hawks. Familiarity and consistency are important to Wesche, which is why he kept a lot of the things the same at Bozeman, from the practice routines to the coaching staff.
Well, you know, it's different just because he's not here, but a lot of his stuff he implemented in the program is still here. So Wesche kind of kept a lot of the traditions that he left behind.
I was kind of bummed when Purcell left. He left a good legacy behind. He was a great coach.
but Coach Weshy's a great coach. He's doing the same things that Purcell's doing, and it's a really good program. We just keep going.
There's a comfort level, I think, with our kids knowing that every position coach came back. They understand what's expected of them, and I do think that it helps us move forward faster than if I'd come into a brand new program cold.
While Bozeman defends their AA title this fall, Whitefish is trying to defend the Class A crown. The Bulldogs lost a lot of talent but still hope to make a deep playoff run. Colter Larry has more with Whitefish on how this year's team is shaping up.
The Whitefish Bulldogs only have 5 starters coming back from last year's championship team.
This year we're really short on depth. You know, like if one of us goes down, we're going to have to rely on somebody that's not, you know, so skilled in that position compared to last year.
But the Bulldogs remain confident.
I mean, we're dealt a different hand than we were last year, and we're playing that hand as best we can.
The tests start early with a non-conference home matchup against the Havre Blue Ponies. Whitefish and Havre have opened their seasons against each other the past 16 years. The rivalry is known as the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Series, as the railway connects the two towns. And the BNSF has even donated a traveling trophy that goes to each year's winner.
We talk about the Traveling Railroad Trophy, and it really is. It's a big deal. Just the history behind it and the community behind it makes it it makes it a great first game. It's more than just, you know, a scrimmage. It's more than just a non-conference game. There's a little pride and community excitement behind it, so that's pretty cool.
But that won't be the only big game for Whitefish in the early stages of their season.
When I talked to the Bulldogs about their schedule for this year, there's one game in particular that really spiked everybody's interest, and that's the rematch of last year's state championship game in Dillon that happens in 2 weeks.
Obviously the Dillon game down in Dillon, that's going to be a big one for us, but I think that we can go up there and we can compete just as well as we did this last December.
Dillon, of course, going back down to Dillon, you know, try to make it 2-0, or I guess 2-1 against them since I've been in high school.
The Dog season kicks off Saturday at 2 in the afternoon hosting Havre. In Whitefish, Colter Larry, NBC Montana.
The team Whitefish beat to win the Class A state championship was Dillon. The undefeated Beavers were playing for their 3rd straight state title and then lost a close game to the Bulldogs. This season, Dillon will look to return to the top behind one of the best players in the Treasure State, senior Troy Anderson, who was the first from the class of 2017 to commit to Montana State in July. Russ Reed caught up with Anderson to talk about this upcoming season.
I'm here with Troy Anderson, quarterback and safety for the Dillon Beavers. Troy, this is your senior year, something every kid dreams about when he plays football, and high school football especially. What's it like to know that it's finally right around the corner?
Oh, it's definitely exciting. I mean, we've been waiting for this and looking forward to this the whole summer and since last year, and it's great to be back out on the field again. We're looking forward to it.
And a lot of focus, I mean, I think you personally put it on, you know, your high school season by committing so early to Montana State and the Bobcats. Can you explain your decision to commit this early in the process and to be the first in-state commit for the Cats?
Yeah, definitely. It was just, I thought it was a good time for me, so then I could focus on, like you said, the high school season, so I could put everything I had to our team and what was important right now. And so I think it's good. I'm excited for the future, but I'm looking forward to right now.
You won the offensive MVP last year in Class A Southwestern Conference as a quarterback. But you're equally as good as safety. Have the Cats kind of pegged where they want you to try yet, or is it they kind of leaving that up in the air?
I think they're thinking safety right now, but they've left it up in the air for other positions as well.
How much are you guys looking forward to the game against Whitefish? I know you felt just a little bit short in that state championship game against the Bulldogs, but I mean, has that been pushing you guys throughout the summer?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely has. I mean, it was a disappointment last year, and we're excited and we're ready to come back and make a run at it this year, and we're excited that it's Whitefish here, the first game, just a rematch of the state championship, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, thank you very much, Troy, and that's Troy Anderson, quarterback and safety for the Dillon Beavers.
While Anderson made his verbal commitment to the Bobcats this summer, a pair of Polson standouts have committed to the Grizzlies as a part of the class of 2017. Not only is this duo anchoring a strong returning senior class for the Pirates, but now these lifelong friends have made their dream of playing college ball together a reality as well.
Polson High School has made a lifetime of memories for 2 senior student athletes.
As long as I could hold those water bottles, I was on the sidelines, you know, running them out into the huddle and sprinting back so I didn't get in trouble.
Now a couple of high school careers months away from being over.
But, you know, now that we finally get to play, I can't believe this last season with him, you know. It's been an awesome experience, and it's something I'll remember, you know, for the rest of my life.
Tanner Wilson and Matthew Rensvold have a friendship that wouldn't be the same without football, working on their routes for 16 years.
Yeah, pretty much. Ever since we could throw the football, we've been working on them.
Next year, Wilson and Rensvold will be donning a different jersey, as they both have verbally committed to play at the University of Montana.
It's not often that a couple of lifelong friends get to live out their dreams playing college football together. But how about for a couple of their coaches, whom they also call Dad?
Basically, these guys, for about as long as I can remember, probably about kindergarten is when they started hanging out at practice and, doing all those things. So it's going to be, it's going to be tough to say goodbye, once this year's over.
Those two young men have put in a lot of work over the years, and a lot of the accolades and where they're at skill-wise level, that's something that they've earned.
So what's going to benefit these two the most moving forward?
Just our chemistry. Just always be there, I guess. And we'll always have our friendship too, so it'll be fun.
Just been together for a long time, and I'm excited to go to college with them.
In Polson, Tyler Bergen, NBC Montana.
And coming up next, we'll catch you up to where some of our former Montana stars are at now, as several Treasure State products are making nice careers in the NFL, including Kalispell's Brock Osweiler. More on that after the break. While our local high school and college teams get ready for the new football season, some former standouts are getting ready for football's biggest stage, the NFL season. Kalispell's Brock Osweiler is your starting quarterback for the Houston Texans after signing a 4-year contract worth $72 million. It's his 5th season in the NFL, but his first as a team's starting quarterback heading into the year. Although Osweiler, of course, did see a lot of time filling in for Peyton Manning last year in Denver. The former Flathead Brave has thrown 151 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception so far this preseason. He says he's getting more and more comfortable with this offense every day.
I'm becoming more and more comfortable. Obviously there's a lot that goes into this offensive system. Mike points, checks, alerts, conversions, option routes. Every single time that I'm able to step on the field and get reps and study this offense, practice this offense, play in this offense, I become more comfortable.
Here's a quick rundown of other Montanans who are with NFL teams. Not all former Grizz and Bobcats, only Montana natives. Corey Bierman now in Buffalo, Jordan Tripp with Jacksonville, Mark Mariani in Chicago, Colt Anderson has a new team in Buffalo, and Mike Person is still with the Falcons. A few more names for you. Brock Coyle enters his 3rd season with the Seahawks. Chase Reynolds still with the Rams, although now that means Los Angeles, not St. Louis. Ben Roberts still fighting for a spot on the Titans, and veteran Dan Carpenter of Helena kicking it for the Buffalo Bills. That does it for our fall football special, but be sure to join us this Friday on the 10 o'clock news for our first installment of Big Sky Friday Nights with all the local high school highlights and scores. Have a great evening.